We're going to talk about Lamar Jackson. He's 1-3 in the postseason. Yvonne has always brought that out throughout the years, what he's done in the postseason record 1-3. Are you worried about his postseason record going into the playoffs this year?
No, I'm not.
I'll start.
I'm not.
I'll
I'm not
start.
worried. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead then.
I'll start. I'll start. Like I said, there's one team that Lamar Jackson doesn't want to face, and that's his AFC division rival, the Cleveland Browns. He's also lost to the Bills, who locked up on him when they were playing zone and forcing him to stay in the pocket the first time that they met in the playoffs. This is the best offensive team that Lamar Jackson has. If he had Mark Andrews, this would be a even bigger, different of a story, more different of a story. But the addition of their offensive coordinator has really transcended this offense, and Eric Flowers as well has the best receiver that Lamar Jackson has ever played with. The pressure is on Lamar Jackson, and he has folded in the playoffs under pressure several times, as we've seen with his 3 losses. There's pressure on him. I am worried that he is not going to be able to rise to the occasion. And if he meets his AFC division rival, I expect him to lose.
All right, I'll go next. I am worried for Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson has proven me wrong as a regular season quarterback. He's probably going to win his second MVP, even though he's not my MVP. I'd still give it to McCaffrey. But but that's the thing. It's a quarterback award. They're going to give it to Lamar Jackson. It is what it is. Here's what worries me about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. The last time he won the MVP, they got that first round bye, and they actually rested him the last game of the season. I'm looking at it right now against Pittsburgh, and Robert Griffin played. That means he had 2 weeks off, and a lot of people thought that was a bad decision. I'm reading they're going to keep him out again against Pittsburgh this week. So that means he's going to get another 2 weeks off. I don't know if that's the best idea. And I'm reading that the Niners are going to do the same thing with Purdy. And I don't like that strategy at all. I feel like if you have a bye week coming up, you play your players. Now, if you don't have a bye week, like the Rams don't have a bye week, obviously, they're going to rest their players this week. That makes perfect sense. Then they're going to have a week off. But I think that's a bad idea, and immediately a red flag for me with the Ravens going into the playoffs. I think they have a lot of momentum right now. You use that momentum. You play this week. Maybe you call certain plays in a safe manner so you keep them out from getting beat up a lot. But I don't think you rest Lamar, and I'm hearing that they're going to do that. So I think that's setting themselves up for a disaster again. But yeah, I am worried for him. I mean, here's the thing. If they're ever going to win the Super Bowl with Lamar Jackson, this is a perfect opportunity. And the reason for that is, let's talk about the AFC quarterbacks this year. Outside of Lamar Jackson, it's going to be Josh Allen, who hasn't accomplished more than Lamar. Tua, who hasn't accomplished more than Lamar. It's going to be Joe Flacco, who's like 50 years old. Mahomes on a down year without wide receivers, so we think. And Trevor Lawrence, Gardner Minshew right now. So Lamar Jackson needs to take advantage of this. This is his time to win. So, but I'm worried for him. I just feel like that running stuff does not work in the playoffs. It's a different game. It's a different game plan. And I think that them missing Mark Andrews will show in the playoffs. I really do, because I think Mark Andrews is his actual number one. So I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm not picking the Ravens to win the Super Bowl just because I have to see it first. But if they're gonna ever win it, this is the year. Look at AFC quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, this is your best shot. You're gonna have home field. But I also, like I said, I don't like the strategy of giving your team 2 weeks off going into a playoff game. So we'll see.
Go ahead, C.
Well, I'll say this, man. Lamar Jackson, I think that I've been high on him since the beginning, and even when Yvonne was calling him a running back, is he still a running back, Yvonne?
He's a great regular season quarterback. I just need to see it in the postseason. That's all.
This man is about to have 2 MVPs.
Regular season award.
Two MVPs, right?
And he has a Heisman too.
Hey, it's good.
And
It's good.
Yeah. And could have won it. He had better numbers his senior season than he did his junior season when he won it. But anyway, I digress. Regular season, he's come up short in the playoffs, but people like to focus on the one star. You got to look at the supporting cast, the others. He's never had legit wide receivers like he does now. All right. OBJ is not the same OBJ that he was, but he's definitely an upgrade from what he's had in the past. Zay Flowers, big upgrade. Missing Mark Andrews. If they had Mark Andrews, I'd say crown him right now. I would. I really would. But you know, the whole resting him, having 2 weeks off thing, I wouldn't do that. I would play him. I would play him a little bit, maybe the first half.
They have too much momentum.
Yeah, I would play him maybe the first half and then sit him because you just don't want him to get injured on a game that means nothing. That's the whole point. You know, so yeah. I definitely understand it. But I really don't think he needs all that though. I think the way he plays his game, he's like a firecracker. He goes in and he does what he does. He's going to do what he does every time he hits the field, regardless if he sits down 2 weeks or not. But I think the Ravens are going to do well. You never want to count Mahomes out, but I think the Ravens will do well, and I think that resting him may be a good decision, honestly, because by him being a running quarterback, you don't want him taking some kind of straight lick for nothing and getting hurt, and now he's gone, and you got Huntley, the Pro Bowler, in there, for your playoffs. You know what I mean? So you don't want to end up like that. So I think this Harbaugh brother might have a little something going there.
Okay, yeah, I don't have no issue with them resting them. At the end of the day, they got the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And this is the difference, in my opinion. That defense is ferocious this year.
Oh yeah,
that defense is different. I understand past years the Baltimore Ravens have lost, and they always have a pretty good defense. But Smith and Queen at linebacker, woo, that's nasty.
Both starters in Pro Bowl.
They nasty, man. I'm not concerned about the Baltimore Ravens. I'm not guaranteeing a Super Bowl victory for them because it's so hard to win a Super Bowl. You're just talking about, one team out of all the teams that's going to make it to the playoffs, only one of them could win it. And there's a lot of good ones. We just talked about our Power 5 rankings. Any one of those teams can win it. But the Ravens, man, I can tell you right now, I understand it's a cute story about Joe Flacco, and I like the Browns. I think the Browns have a great defense. They were my defensive fantasy. So there's no doubt about it. They're not beating the Baltimore Ravens, in my opinion. And there's no knock to the Cleveland Browns. I wouldn't pick the Browns to beat them. I think the one team that the Ravens need to be somewhat concerned about is the Buffalo Bills. And I keep saying it. I know, see, you might not love that, but the Buffalo Bills, they're kind of like the Michigan Wolverines to me in the NFL. They've been so close. And now it's kind of, okay, are we going to get over that hump this year? They were 13 seconds away from knocking off the Chiefs just what? That was last year, the year before. And Patrick Mahomes did what he did. But I love what Yvonne said about this is the best year. You have no Burrow. Patrick Mahomes has no offensive weapons. Y'all said Travis Kelce's old, and he's not saying pretty much washed, but for the most part, he's getting up there in age, and the whole Taylor Swift thing is becoming somebody did. Y'all blame it wasn't you that blamed Travis Kelce the other day with the Chiefs?
I ain't say he was washed.
Okay, but what I'm saying is you got Flacco right now. I know the coach didn't make it yet, but Minshew in the playoffs, like Lamar Jackson, this is opportunity. it's gonna be come down to Buffalo to me and Baltimore, who's gonna get in the Super Bowl. And I have to lean towards Baltimore a little bit because of that defense. That defense is ferocious and they for real. So I don't have no issue with the Baltimore Ravens. They're gonna be a tough out regardless.
Hold on.
What Yvonne said was what? Go ahead.
As far as Lamar Jackson goes, if I'm worried about him, hell yeah, I'm worried about him. You are 1-3 in the playoffs. All of the stuff that you did in the regular season, that's great. Really great. Congratulations, Lamar Jackson. But you're going into the playoffs right now. You are 1-3. The last time your team got a first round bye, you lost to the Tennessee Titans, for crying out loud. But guess what? You beat them the following year. You got your revenge, and then you end up losing to the Buffalo Bills. So Lamar Jackson has more interceptions than touchdowns as when it comes to his 1-3 record. Lamar Jackson actually has more lost fumbles than rushing touchdowns when it comes to the postseason. So yes, I am worried. Those wide receivers that you're talking about do not scare me. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I do not fear Zay Flowers. I
Watch
do
your
not fear.
mouth. Watch
I do
your
not.
mouth.
I
I
agree,
do not.
Keo.
I do not fear the washed up, beat down Odell Beckham,
Watch your mouth,
who
I said.
and Rashad Bateman and all those players, man. I'm just not worried about that, man. Gus Edwards, you don't know what you're gonna get out of him. They're gonna focus on Lamar Jackson. That's what they're gonna do. And I just feel like I'm like Yvonne. He has to show me in the postseason. If you could do it in the postseason, then I'll get off your back. But with that being said, I don't got them going to the Super Bowl, and I'm just not convinced, even with the home field advantage.
Okay, let me
But
ask you this. Before you go, I just want to say this. So who do you have going to the Super Bowl?
My favorite still is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay, that's fair. I thought you was gonna say Buffalo, and I was gonna be like, Buffalo's lost too in the playoffs.
Despite how the Chiefs been playing, I rather have Patrick Mahomes going into the playoffs than Lamar Jackson.